What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. And before I do anything else, I'm going to give a very quick shout out to all of my Patreons, so let's just bring up that little list. Shout them all out if I can find them. There we go. So a big shout out to Alistair, Dank, David, Edwin, Godrockin, Jeranism, Kirsten, Matt, Michael, Paige, Renee, Sam, Texas Mike, big shout out to you, and Tina. So Texas Mike is a latest Patreon, so a very warm welcome to you, and a massive thanks to all of you in Patreon for your support. So I'm going to raise the mic on the Discord and Google Plus Hangouts on air, and you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever is in there while I set up for the first live show.
So, it's up to us to fill up the dead air.
I'm back now, Flatsoid, in case you hadn't gathered.
Oh, sorry, I'm also just a bit busy right now.
That's all right, don't worry.
I'll get back to you.
It's okay. This pre-show on a Thursday goes out to the second channel audience, Nathan Oakley audience, whereas the next show, the pre-show goes out to the main audience on Friday, my bad. So the pre-show is much more important on the second show than it is on the first. The same applies for the Friday shows. So both of those shows are delayed to start. So they do go out live, but then they get switched off. And then the first Friday show goes out on Saturday evening. And then the second Friday show goes out on Sunday evening. And if they're like slow starts, like this one is going to be, which I'm not too fussed about, like I say, the the more dedicated audience in the second channel is a lot more prepared to put up with this than the main channel audience, who just instantly tune out if there wasn't any decent conversation. But I'm happy to sit here talking to myself, drinking my coffee, getting ready for the live show.
As long as it's good coffee.
It is good coffee, very good coffee. Just hear my projector in the background on its last legs. After so many bulb changes, like the plastic warps as you take in and out the screws and stuff, it just starts to make funny noises. So I'm going to have to replace it before it goes bang, which will inevitably happen. It's only a couple of months ago I put a new bulb in it, but that was just to, delay the inevitable of it blowing up completely. It's working, it just makes a horrendous racket. I don't know if you can hear it on the mic or not.
Not really.
What I'll do is I'm going to whack my gain right up, just so you can hear the horrendous racket my projector makes. Hold on a second. Gain, there it is.
Okay, now I hear it.
Yeah, that's pretty loud. Anyway, let's turn that back down before I blast everyone's eardrums out.
Oh, I was gonna say something. You know how sometimes you cut out?
Yes.
Like Brenda says it, and she's actually right. I think you should go in voice and video settings and turn automatic determine input sensitivity off.
Okay. So,
Voice and video.
Voice and video. Then.
And then input sensitivity.
Yeah, just click on input sensitivity.
And turn it off. First drag the thing off, and then put the bar like at a quarter or a third. So set it manually.
What, higher or lower?
Lower.
So it's more sensitive.
Yeah, so yeah, to the left.
Check. That's on low input sensitivity.
Okay, I think it might be better.
Check. That's
you
high
were like,
sensitivity.
It wasn't picking up your voice right away, and then sometimes it was cutting your voice too soon. And I checked this out with somebody else yesterday who had the same problem, and it seemed to fix it.
And you're saying lower it down because it was about halfway. So you're saying lower it down. But that would mean less than
That cut off too. Go about like a quarter or a third.
about there. Is that any better?
We'll find out soon, eventually.
Well, is it cut out yet? Or have you heard everything I've said?
Now I have heard everything.
Okay, well, I've lowered it to a quarter. When you said it was cutting out, it was at 2/3.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much.
No problem.
What do you think of the one more orbit attempt?
No idea what that is. Sorry.
Really?
Nope.
And you're a flat earther, and so there's people who are doing a circumnavigation of the poles, and you're not interested in that?
Well, I've heard it before. If it was something that was easy to do, it'd be done all the time. We had this conversation the other day.
Yeah, it's not easy.
Right.
I mean, it's expensive. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money and fuel, and there's no particular reason to do it. But what they're doing is they're circumnavigating the globe from North Pole to South Pole, all the way around.
Okay. I mean, every time I've looked into previous claim to be polar circumnavigations, they just go into Antarctica and then come out again, like at an angle, like a cheese wedge in a Trivial Pursuit game. So I've not seen any documented where they've actually gone all the way around. So as much as this one may claim to, great, when it's done. I mean, the reason I don't know about it is I don't pay attention to the media. I don't read newspapers. I don't get any news or RSS feeds. I don't watch TV. So none of this really interests me, because there's been previous examples that really don't back up what they claim they're doing. But, great. If they claim that they prove a ball with this, then I'll have a look at it when it comes out.
Well, they're not trying to prove a ball. I mean, nobody is trying to do that. But why didn't they run into the dome?
Dome. What dome?
The dome.
What dome?
Yeah, why didn't they run into it?
What dome?
The dome over the Earth.
You're claiming there's a dome over the Earth? Wow.
Do we live in a pressurized system or not?
You live in a pressurized system.
Then there has to be a dome.
You say so.
Well, you say so.
No, that's a logical inference you can make if you want to. I've said this before as well. While, yes, that is a reasonable logical deduction, Brenda, there is no necessity for me to make any claims about what the sky is. None. I'm not Mr. Sky, so I don't have to make that claim. Yes, it's a reasonable logical deduction, and I wouldn't disagree with anyone who made it. But by the same token, I don't have to draw that inference or verbally make it. Because why? Why do I need to make that claim? I'm not claiming what the sky is. I know what it isn't. If you want to claim it's a dome, Brenda, that's up to you. I'd probably give you the same grief I'd give anybody else who makes the same claim. Which is to say that, can you prove it?
Can gas pressure exist without a container?
The necessary antecedent. These are all our arguments, Brenda. I know them well. So I agree with you, and the logical inference at the end is perfectly reasonable to make. I just choose not to make that logical connection and verbalise it, because people will then hold me to task on proving that claim when I don't need to make it.
Well, it's not something that you can deny because it is necessarily true.
I agree.
Right. It is necessarily, logic necessitates that if you believe gas can only exist with in a pressurized system, then we have gas pressure. It must be a pressurized system. It must be an enclosed, pressurized system. That must be the case.
I keep agreeing with you. I don't disagree with any of that, and those are the logical inferences that I'm taking people through the steps of coming to their own conclusion on. I say it once more, I choose not to verbalise it because there is no necessity for me to make that claim. None. And I don't have any evidence to back it in physicality. I can't show you what the sky is. I don't know what it is. So while you can make the logical extrapolation, I choose not to.
Well, it's
Real
not
quick, mic
something
check.
for
Real
which
quick,
you
mic
need
check.
Paul.
evidence. It's a logical conclusion that must be the case, given your antecedent. It must follow
What must follow?
that we live in a pressurized system. If pressure can only exist, if gas pressure can only exist within a container, we experience gas pressure. Therefore, we must live in a pressurized system.
The pressurized system bit is self-evident, isn't it, Brenda? That bit we definitely know and don't need to verify or validate. That bit's self-evident.
Good morning.
The pressure,
Morning, 10th man.
the pressurized. So it's not something for which you would need evidence. It's a logical conclusion that must follow. Otherwise, you simply don't care about logic
You want to
or
know
being
how
rational.
I take people through that process to get them to come to their own logical conclusion using that information. And you're saying I don't care about logic? No, I just choose not to make the end conclusion verbally. That's it. And I'll give you my reasons if you want them.
Well, it's just irrational. You're just being irrational.
I'm not denying it.
You're refusing. Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You're refusing to make the necessary conclusion.
No, all I said was what dome, because you claim dome. Well, dome is a very specific thing. Well, I don't know that that is how the gas pressure is being contained. I appreciate the necessary antecedent is a container, but I don't know what the sky is. And why should I make that claim? Why should I say dome? What purpose does it serve for
meaning
me?
he's open to other suggestions. You just got to demonstrate it.
Yeah, but the logical... Sorry, go on, Brenda.
Well, I don't understand what else there could be other than a container of some kind, right? There must be a container of some kind. Maybe not a dome, but a container.
Well, there you go.
I can make
Right.
a claim about the sky. I can make a claim if you want to hear it, Brenda.
Depends how well backed up it is. Go ahead, Paul. I mean, you can do.
Well, I've already kind of, for one, whatever that thing is up there, it has to be denser than the gas, and it has to be a closed container, not an open container. I can make those two claims.
What? When you say that thing up there, what are you talking about?
Guy.
The sky?
Yeah.
Whatever's containing the gas, that's the thing up there. Whatever's containing it.
But there's no physical object in the sky. What are you talking about?
How do you know? How do you know
The
that?
sky isn't an object.
How do you know?
Why is the sky blue? Why is the sky blue, Nathan?
Good question. One of the first questions I asked in this subject. I don't know.
You don't know why the sky is blue.
I know why they claim it's blue, and it would require a distant sun, open system, heliocentric world, ever-expanding infinite universe. I understand what they say is the reason the sky is blue, and I can understand the logical deduction in their model. I know I don't live in their model, therefore I no longer draw that conclusion and don't know why it's blue.
No,
Brenda,
the sky would be blue even on a flat Earth. Even on a flat Earth, the sky would be blue.
Yeah, Brenda, I'm trying to keep it fairly light because it's the pre-show. Yes.
But I understand, and I'm saying the sky is blue regardless of whether the Earth is flat or not. It doesn't matter.
Agreed.
That doesn't. Yeah. So the sky is blue because of Rayleigh scattering, right? So there's no object up there. When you look up, there's nothing. You're not looking at anything.
But Rayleigh scattering requires the sun to be distant, doesn't it, Brenda? And outside of this system. I'm not
sure.
It does.
Sorry. I'm not sure it requires the sun to be distant.
Okay, so
Brenda,
if
maybe
hold on, Brenda, just by pure logic, if the sun was underneath the sky, for the sake of argument, could that description occur or not?
How could the sun be underneath
I'm not asking you
the
to
sky?
concede that it is. I'm not asking that. That's not what I'm asking. I'm not saying you concede the sun is close. I'm not asking that. I'm just saying that if the sun was underneath the sky, then it could not scatter the light in the way described in the heliocentric system. That is not possible.
You're just presupposing the sky is a thing. It's not a thing.
I don't know.
Blue stuff that you see isn't a thing.
Brenda, you and I do not know what the sky is. Now, we can pretend to, and pretend that we've got some information about what it is from other people, but we simply don't know, you and I. Now, if you're not prepared to concede that, fine, but that's where I lose interest. I like the conversation, but I'm not demanding that you accept the sun is close or far away. I'm just saying that given that that is certainly something debated, right, that would ultimately, if the flat earthers were right about a close sun, I'm not backing that, I don't claim that. But if that was the case, then their description would fail. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we know what the sky is, and we know it is not a thing.
Here we go.
It's not a thing.
Here we go.
It's not
it
an
comes
object,
down to you
Nathan.
demanding that we know what the sky is. Okay, I get it. You demand we know what the sky is, therefore the explanation that follows will be what you say is true. But we don't. I don't. If you don't want to admit that, fine. That's just zealotry. You're going to start demanding we accept what you believe the sky is.
It's not a belief. We know what it is.
Okay, I'm out.
Brenda.
End of conversation. I'm out.
All right, Brenda, the sky is not the container. The sky is in the container. Is that what you agree or not agree?
Under the assumptions we're working on now, right? The sky is inside of the container, whatever it is.
Okay, so it doesn't matter what color, if you can just follow along. It doesn't matter what color the sky is, because at nighttime it's dark. Then during the day, it's bluish. But we're not talking about the gases and the sky. We're talking that you can't have gas pressure without a container. Now, what Nathan is saying that necessary antecedent for gas pressure is a container. Now, have any of us been up there to see what is containing the blue sky during the day and the dark sky during the night? No, none of us have been up there. I believe the biblical account, but that's my prerogative. Nathan says, I believe the antecedent is a container, but I don't know what it is. Both of us agree it's something. Why is this so hard for you?
At night, when I look up at the sky and I look at the black space between the stars, what am I looking at?
I don't know what the black space between the stars is. I just got through telling you, you can't even have gas pressure without a container, which you've been saying all along, at least since I came on the show. And you're trying to pin us down as to describing what the container is. And we're saying we don't know exactly what it is, what shape it is. We just know there is one because that's the necessary antecedent for gas pressure.
I know what the black stuff is.
The argument could just rest there, but you're trying to get us to go up there, touch it, come back with a piece of it.
I understand. So you can't have gas. You can't have, just to review, you can't have gas pressure without a container, right? So we have gas pressure here on Earth. Therefore, we must live in a container, right? But it can't be the sky because the sky isn't a thing.
The sky is the gas pressure. Come on.
How do you know this? You're both making baseless assertions. How do you know what the sky is, 10th man?
When I say the sky, let me explain what I mean by the sky. I mean everything above me that has gas.
Okay, I've just put my hand over my head. Yeah? And it meets that criteria. Am I putting my hand through the sky right now?
No, again,
yes.
what I'm trying to say...
I see, Brenda says yes.
Let me
sorry, 10th man. Brenda says yes. So what you agree then? You agree with 10th man? Everything above my head is that contains gas is sky.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know what the sky is. I wouldn't call that.
It's not a solid object. It's gas.
How do you know? How the hell would you know?
Because you put your hand up there, and did you feel anything when you put your hand above your head?
That's just above my head by a foot.
Right.
But what about at the top? How do you know it's not just painted blue?
Did you feel anything?
How do you know it's not a brick wall painted blue? How do you know that? You don't. Neither do I. I could claim it's a brick wall painted blue. I could claim it's a glass dome. I could claim it's made of sapphire. But I haven't got the vaguest idea.
It's not paint.
It could even be water.
It's not painted blue. It's not painted blue.
How do you know? How do you know it's not
painted blue?
How do you know it's not?
The ocean isn't blue.
I'm not talking about the ocean. I'm talking about the sky.
The water doesn't have a color.
Not the
Nathan.
water. The
When
sky.
you look at the ocean, or a large lake, It isn't blue, because water isn't blue.
I don't know which oceans you've seen. I've seen blue oceans.
Yeah,
Some
but
nice
they're not
oceans in
blue.
South Africa.
Water. If you dip a glass into the water and pull it out, it's not going to be blue.
Hold on 1 second, Brenda. Go ahead, the one.
Hi guys, you hearing a strange humming sound?
Yeah, that's me. That's my projector. It's on its last legs.
Something else? Strange noise from me?
Could be your robotic heart. No?
Is all fine? Alright. Cheers. Thanks.
Sounds like he's on a Starship Enterprise with that slow hum in the background. That's what it sounds like to me.
It's no good no more. I mean, the primary purpose for the projector originally was to watch movies, right, on a nice big screen. Well, you imagine listening to a motion picture with that rattle going on in the background. Not exactly conducive to suspension of disbelief, is it?
Well,
Wait,
we could
we're
say
talking about
Joe
the
is
one's
humming.
background noise, not yours.
Oh, really? Oh, my bad. I can't even hear it over the top of my background noise.
Okay.
I only seem to hear it when Nathan's on, so I don't know. Oh, I know what the dark stuff is, by the way, up there between the stars. I know what it is.
Here we go.
It's dark. It's darkness. There's lack of light. That's what I think it is.
Is darkness a thing?
Gosh.
Darkness is absence of light.
Yeah.
So if I look at a black car, am I seeing it?
Oh, I'm not
Black
talking about a
car? How
dark
you
car.
see-
That's different. It's painted black. That's why it's black.
So the sky could potentially have a curtain drawn across it that was made of velvet, black velvet, and you wouldn't know the difference. So it might not be a lack of light. It might be someone's drawing a curtain, for all you know.
No, that's a good point.
So the
Good
sky
point.
might be a curtain.
It might be. I've got absolutely no idea. That's my point. It could be a million different things. I definitely know it's not a vacuum, but beyond that, I don't know what it is. Sorry.
Well, it could be a vacuum. That's
No, it couldn't.
logically possible.
No. We already went through this at the start of this conversation, didn't we? We have gas pressure. If it was a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. It would disperse into the lower pressure system because nothing was stopping it. It wouldn't bounce off the walls, giving us gas pressure. It would disperse, leaving us at 10 to the minus 17 torr as it reached equilibrium, almost instantaneously, especially as there's no walls on this container. That would be the bullshit Earth that I'm talking about when I say there's no
How
walls.
can a container not have any walls?
Well,
That's the
it
point.
just stops being a container at that point. It's like my floor. I wouldn't call my floor a container.
Would you call your ceiling a container?
And sphere Earth has a ceiling, does it? About walls. Does it have walls? No, so definitely not a container. So Earth being a sphere isn't conducive with having gas pressure, especially when they claim that sphere is in a vacuum with gas pressure attached to the outside edge of a non-container. So yeah, that's how I know it's not a vacuum, by the same logical inference that you drew when you told us we have a dome.
So if you have pressure inside of your room right now, and I take off the ceiling, will you still have pressure?
The outside pressure system is the same as the inside pressure system, unlike a vacuum, which is considerably lower. So the gas would have a tendency to try and expand into that void. That's what it would do to try.
No, but I mean, if your room is pressurized, if your room is pressurized,
like
and
a
I take
tire.
off the lid.
Yeah, like a tyre. Yeah, like a tyre when it's pressurised and you
Yeah.
remove the valve. Yeah, all the air rushes out. Exactly what would happen
Yeah.
if the sky was a vacuum. All the air would rush out just like the pressurised tyre, because it's claimed that we're at pressure, like we established at the beginning of this conversation. If we're at pressure, like a tyre, and next to that tyre is a lower pressure system, like the atmosphere next to the tyre, and you remove the valve so that it's got a nice hole for it to escape through, or you remove the tyre altogether, as is claimed the Earth in space is, then you have rapid decompression. The gas would fill the space. It would have a
Right.
tendency to leave.
So what I understand you saying is that a container without a lid is not a container.
No, a
that
container
right?
with lid is definitely a container. I've got a coffee cup right now. It's got water in it. It wouldn't be a very good container for gas, because gas expands in all directions.
Well, it could be a container for a gas that was heavier than air.
No, it wouldn't. It would still succumb to entropy, even if it was more dense than the air. There's gaps between the air. The air doesn't have bonded molecules to stop or prevent something leaving a coffee cup. The gaps between the air is where the denser gas could be agitated and leave, and would eventually leave. That's the second law of thermodynamics.
But you couldn't have pressure inside that cup with the lid off, right? You couldn't have that.
You should.
I'd like to make a clarifying statement.
Well, you could have a greater
statement. There's
just
two
said
types of containers. There's an open container, like my coffee cup, and a closed container, like a gas bottle holding a gas. Two types of containers.
Yeah, like a pop can or we say here pop, maybe you say soda, or an aluminum can with soda in it, right?
So what's the point?
That
then?
holds
These
that
are
holds
very
pressure. That
small-
holds pressurized gas inside the aluminum can, right?
Yeah.
So Brenda,
Yeah.
what's your point? These are very simple examples we all agree with.
Right. So your claim is that you can't have pressure if you take the lid off of the aluminum can. You can't have pressure in the can.
Then
No,
it
it's
would be
still
an
a
open
container.
container. It would be an open container at that point.
Yeah, and so
Tell
it
me-
couldn't
tell me
have
where
pressure.
gas pressure can be
right?
maintained over a long period of time in an open container. I can show you a closed container
Like
all day
say
long
three.
that will
You couldn't.
maintain gas.
Yeah, it couldn't exist. It couldn't exist for like say 3 hours. If I open up a can of Coke, I come back, all the carbonation is going to be gone in 3 hours, right?
Depends on the size of the hole and how big the container is. I mean, if you've got a pipe that's like 3 foot in diameter and 2 inches high, then it's not going to have enough surface area. There's not enough walls of that container for the gas pressure to actually press upon. Now, even if you put a hole in a tyre, we went through this as well, Brenda, it's still a container, but it does have a small hole, a route for gas to escape through. Doesn't necessarily mean you get rapid decompression, but depending on how big the surface area of your container is and how big the hole is, could slow down entropy, depending on the circumstances. So, for example, if you put butane into a pipe, that more dense gas has plenty of surface area if the pipe's long enough, and a small hole at the top won't instantaneously give rise to rapid decompression of a more dense gas. You're just skewing entropy in your favour and slowing it down. But entropy won't be stopped.
Right. So if I put the butane in that pipe and come back 3 hours later, it would be gone then, right?
No, we already know that. It's been demonstrated by hillbilly blue balls.
That it isn't gone, right?
Yeah,
It takes-
in
And
the
there's
same
still
way.
and there's still pressure there.
In the same way, the can itself, the can of butane, the container he bought the butane in the first instance, if you left it to its own devices, given enough time, the can would succumb to the weather itself. It would disintegrate, it would rust and go to nothing eventually, given enough time. That's also entropy, Brenda. So your pipe, the same thing applies. Over enough time, the pipe will decay. Everything decays. Entropy's a bitch. But you can't get away from it. It's a law of nature. Everything, not just the gases that you've mixed up over 3 hours and, as I say, slow down the process of entropy. It might take longer than 3 hours to disperse. But given enough time, the gas will absolutely disperse. Not only that, everything else, the entire setup and the house that's standing by the pipe would eventually crumble to nothing given enough time. That's entropy.
Yeah.
Yes, like John's Jeep.
Yeah, everything's succumbing to entropy, Brenda. Everything. So while you can slow it down for a couple of
Sure.
hours, that doesn't mean that when you come back 5 years later, you're still going to have gas in a pipe. When you come back 500 years later, the chances are the house will be gone because of entropy, let alone the gas in the pipe. It's just in proportion with time.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. Most importantly, if you'd like to join this discussion right here, right now, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected. And if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcomed back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Flatzoid, 10th Man, Paul, Chocolate Sane, The One, and then we've got a whole bunch of people on Discord, so I'll just say hello to the Google Plus people first. How are you doing, one and all?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon.
Hello. Yep, hello.
Hello. We're also joined by Brenda, Fundy Zealot, let's just take you off mute, Ping Pong Rob, Red, and Righteous Force. Very good to have you all as well.
Any signs of Earth curvature?
Nope,
Out in South Africa.
not in Bulgaria.
Not on Earth.
You got the last word there.
Any scientific evidence for gravity?
Scientific evidence of what?
Nope.
Gravity, what's that?
No idea.
Non-force.
If you define it as relative density, it's all over the place.
Agreed.
Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Can't be measured yet.
No apparent distance.
Got a new guest. Hey Todd, how you doing? Can you hear us? Hello, Todd. Sheesh. Any evidence of the R value?
No.
No, sorry. Any evidence of you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container?
Nope.
No.
No.
Nah, you can't have something without its antecedent. That doesn't make any sense.
About you,
But
Fundy
people
Zealot?
think they do.
You got anything for us, Fundy Zealot?
No, nothing at all.
Brenda, that's you.
So, hello?
Hello.
So we were
Any
talking
evidence
before
of,
about the
self-
one more time attempt, the circumnavigation of the poles of the Earth.
Yeah, let us know when they do it.
No, we have gas pressure.
A couple more
So
questions.
they are. I don't know if they've completed it yet, but that is something that they're doing. There's a flight circumnavigating the poles. It's not the first one.
Well, it would be.
How do you count for that?
I told you in the pre-show. In the pre-show, I explained that whenever I've looked into polar circumnavigation, they did not circumnavigate. They went in and then came back out again.
That's true. I've seen that too when I did a little research.
Anyway.
What's interesting?
And they keep losing signal.
What's interesting is they claim to have gone to the moon before they've gone across the poles.
let's just dispense with the rest of the housekeeping questions. So, any evidence of axial rotation?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Your religious creed needs to go first. Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
They're questions, Brenda. They're not statements. It's not like we're saying there's a sky vacuum. We're asking for evidence that defies a natural law. That's not really any sort of worship or anything of that nature. It's a question.
No,
these are your creedal statements. Yes.
They're questions, Brenda.
which only have one answer for you. So yeah.
You can bring it up.
Well, no, I don't want to. I don't want to derail your service. Your
You
service.
don't want to get owned, do you mean?
Your liturgical service. I don't want to disturb that.
I'm sorry, we're not the Fundy Zealots here.
Of course not.
Well, we're not. We don't
What do you
declare what
call
the sky is. The pre-show is a demonstration and testimony to that. So you tried to make me concede there's a dome, which I would not do because I don't know. So that's hardly zealotry. When I go, I don't know what the sky is. You go, it's a vacuum. That's zealotry. I'm not doing anything religious by asking questions about the current rhetoric.
I was just trying to get from you what you thought the container was. Because it obviously can't be the sky, because the sky isn't a thing.
You don't know that.
And how would you know?
Yeah, exactly. You don't know that.
Because the sky is just air.
Says who? You haven't got the vaguest idea what the sky is.
First,
when you look up and you see blue, what is there? Do you think that there's something painted blue up there?
I don't know. There could be.
Brenda, first you accuse the questions as being a creed, a religious creed, and then when Nathan says he doesn't know what it is, it's like he's not saying it's a religious creed. He's saying he doesn't know what it is, but you keep saying this is your creed. I mean, come on.
Well, I dropped that. That was a snarky remark. So
Fair
I'm
enough.
sorry.
Okay.
I apologize for that.
It's all right. No, fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Last but but by no means least, any evidence of a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the center of a presupposed spherical Earth.
Sorry, can I disappoint you? Nothing.
Only in Hollywood.
That's too fantastic even for comic books.
Right. So I'm interested in this idea that the sky could be painted blue, or at night. Nathan, you said in the pre-show that at night there could be curtains. It could be a velvet substance or something like that.
Could be a million different things, all of which I have no way of verifying it. And while I can just make something up, like the black of the sky is a curtain being drawn, that's just bollocks I made up. And the same would apply to anything else anybody says about the sky. It's just a load of nonsense they've made up. They've not verified it. They're not confirmed it.
Yeah, it's just a belief.
Also, Brenda, be careful about building
when I
straw
look
man
at the
that you
sky
can
at
knock down.
night and I look
Deal
at
with
the
claim,
black
not
space.
the straw man you're building.
No, but when I look at the sky at night and I see the black space between the stars, I'm not looking at anything. I'm not looking at a thing. I'm not looking at a container. I'm not looking at anything.
How do you know?
If you want
How do you know?
answers.
You don't know what you're looking at.
Well, I don't see anything. There's nothing there.
Oh, right.
Have you been in?
When I look up, I see stars and blackness. I do see something. You must be blind, Brenda, if you can't see something.
No, I specifically said the blackness between the stars is not anything.
And how much time have you spent looking at that blackness?
Oh, a fair amount.
Give it me a minute.
When I was younger, I used to go out camping a lot. I'd look up at the stars. Yeah, I did that a lot.
And did you not find that as your eyes adjusted in very low levels of light, i.e. not street lamps everywhere, that the more your eyes adjusted, the more you saw in the black gaps? Did you not find that?
Yeah.
So when you say the black bits, they're nothing, that you can't see anything, and when I ask you if your eyes adjust, you can see something, do you appreciate that's a blatant contradiction?
No, because the fact that I can't see something does, I'm talking about the places where I can't see stars.
Yeah, and then you let your eyes adjust, and then you can.
Right.
Yeah, right.
But there's always a place where I can't see a star.
And you've looked at all of it for prolonged periods, have you, Brenda?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I have.
Oh, right. Apparently, Brenda has studied the entire area of the sky to see if every black bit doesn't have the effect that she's detailed, having observed it, of lights appearing where there were none before, given your eyes adjustment to the darkness. But okay, apparently Brenda knows the entire night sky and knows that doesn't happen in certain areas. I'll just have to accept that on face value then, Brenda.
Hello.
Yeah. So
Hey, Owen.
so when I look at the sky at night or during the day, I'm not seeing a dome painted blue or curtains drawn over.
Okay.
That's certainly true, right?
Yeah, and you're definitely
Brenda,
not seeing a vacuum either. You're not seeing an ever-expanding universe either. You're not seeing rocks.
Could I see a vacuum?
You're not seeing rocks that you can stand on either. You're not seeing any of those things either.
Brenda, if you're in
Is
a room,
a vacuum something
if you
I
put
could
the light
see?
off, can you see the wall?
I'm sorry, what?
If you're in a room and you put the light off and it's dark, can you see the wall?
No.
Exactly.
If we can't see a vacuum, why is it blue 50% of the time?
The vacuum isn't blue.
Well, I'm looking at it right now. It's blue.
You're not looking at the vacuum.
Oh, am I
right?
not?
You're looking
I'm
at
looking. Hold
you're
on.
looking
I'm looking
at the atmosphere.
So, let me get it straight. So where you say you can't see it, and I say I do see something that you've specifically said isn't something, the blue of the sky, yeah? That is and isn't something at the same time, correct?
No, the blueness that you see in the sky is not a thing.
How do you know?
It's just the scattering of light.
It is a thing, I can see it. The scattering of light comes from your heliocentric description with the sun being outside the atmosphere, though, isn't it? So, given that the sun in that description takes place in an area that can't possibly exist because it violates the law of nature, as described by you on the pre-show, then we know that that's not the reason the sky's blue.
Well, I'm not sure that. I think that on a flat Earth or a globe Earth, the sky would still be blue.
The sky is blue, that's self-evident. So the model makes no difference. I know you're all cognitively wired to assert that the model you use would somehow change the very reality we're in. The self-evident things don't change based on your model reification. That's self-evident. The sky will always be blue, as far as I am aware. However, a model's not going to change that colour. The description for why you assert that it's blue, that could definitely change. And given that we don't have a sky vacuum with a distant sun in a vacuum, I know that that explanation that's hinged around that model is incorrect.
No, the sky isn't actually blue. It's just the color that we see when we look in that direction because of the scattering of light. But the sky itself is just air, and air doesn't have a color.
Yeah, the Rayleigh scattering, again, we detailed this on the pre-show. It relies on the sun being outside of the atmosphere, and as it traverses the light, that is, traverses the atmosphere, some of the light is scattered and some of it doesn't. The light that's let through is the blue light. So that's an explanation on the heliocentric model with a distant sun in a vacuum outside of our atmosphere. The same atmosphere that would dissipate into the vacuum that the sun is claimed to be in. Therefore, that entire explanation, starting at the foundations of a distant sun in a vacuum, is bunk. You can't have gas pressure without a container. You can't have a sun claimed to be a gas in a vacuum. None of this stuff works. It's nonsense. So I know that explanation isn't real.
Well, no, Nathan, I say that I think it would still, the sky would still be blue on a flat or a globe Earth. I don't think it matters. And with a close sun,
I just said this, 25, 30 a minute ago. It doesn't matter what your reified model says. The sky is blue, that's self-evident, and the model that you assert makes sod all difference to what colour the sky is. It's always going to be blue. It always was, and your reified model does not change that. So saying, well, I think it would still be yeah, it would still be blue regardless of your fundy belief in models.
Yeah, because Rayleigh scattering is a thing that would happen regardless.
I'll say this again. Rayleigh scattering requires your model to be true. It requires a distant sun outside of the atmosphere. I've just said that. You just whistling
I'm not
past
sure that's
it.
True.
Yes, it is. Look it up.
No, I'm not sure that that's true.
Yes,
it might be true,
well,
but I don't know.
No worries. We got to this stage before, and
I
you obfuscated the question I asked you in the pre-show, so I'll ask it again. Given that I don't necessarily put this forward, but it's like the curtains, a possibility that we haven't completely ruled out. If there's a possibility that the sun is underneath the sky, how would it be possible that the light is travelling through the sky when the sky is after the sun? Now, unless you verify the position of the sun, as per the housekeeping question, any evidence of the distance to the sun, something else I don't know but is definitely declared when you give this explanation of Rayleigh scattering. So you've got a distant sun with that explanation attached. You don't know the distance, so you can't make that as an assertion. With a distant sun, with a light travelling through the atmosphere and then dispersing the light, leaving only the blue wavelength. Well, that needs a distant sun. If the sun's between us and the sky, that can't possibly be the explanation. Given we don't know the distance, you can't use that explanation. Sorry.
So you think the sun could be between us and the sky?
I don't know the distance to the sun. Do you?
Right, but it's possible that the sun could be between us and the
anything's
sky.
possible.
Is that
There's
correct?
a million possibilities. There's a world of possibilities. Like I care about what's possible. I'm only interested in what's absolutely true, confirmed, validated, empirical. I'm not interested in what's possible. Moving on to an assertion that that's what it is. The just so stories I'm tired of.
I just wanted. Yeah, I only wanted to clarify that. Because you had said that the sun on your model is between us and the sky.
What a fucking lying bitch. That's going to piss me off real smart. Yeah, I did not say the sun on my model once. I've not asserted that. That's bullshit.
But you said the sun...
You came on yesterday and called me a liar. I don't say the sun on my model. You liar.
You're going to have to make your straw man arguments a little less obviously so.
You're a liar. I don't say that. You're a liar. Brenda, you are a liar. That is not the verbiage I use. When you start your sentence saying when you, and we are having the conversation, meaning me, say on my model the sun, blah, 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 misrepresentation, lies and straw men, that makes you a flat-out liar, Brenda.
So you said the sun. The reason that this I was wrong.
Quick, make something
was
up.
Because
quick,
the sun
make something
was
up
beneath the sky.
Is
the
this
sun
what I say?
Beneath the sky, then
I said I don't know. Maybe you just ignored that part of my representation.
Right.
So I don't know.
Right. Yeah.
So it might be. It might be beneath the sky.
It could be unicorn farts. It could be frogs singing, creating that light. I haven't got the slightest idea.
Right, but you think it's a possibility.
Do you want to verify that? If you're going to claim that it is close, you better damn well verify it. If you want to claim that it's far away, you better damn well verify that. Me, I say I don't know. I ask very specifically daily. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
Yeah, I know. But you said that the reason I can't say that the sky would be blue, whether a flat Earth or a globe Earth, was because you said the sun is beneath the sky.
No, I said we don't know the distance. Potentially it's definitely not your example that gives you Rayleigh scattering, because that requires a sun outside of the atmosphere in a vacuum and the gas would fill the space. So that explanation's immediately crapped all over, and it's the only positive assertion that's going to be made because I'm not going to claim how far the sun is, while many others might. And you're not going to strawman me into saying I've claimed how far the sun is when I ask daily any evidence of the distance to the sun. Not I declare the sun is close.
Well said.
Right. So it couldn't be the case that that Rayleigh scattering is true because that would require a distant sun, right?
Yeah, do you want to verify that then? Do you want to verify that distant sun before you start claiming Rayleigh scattering then? Go on, chop. Let's see you validate that distance to the sun, Brenda.
No, I don't know because
so you don't know. So let's not continually circle jerk back to Rayleigh scattering given that it's been 3 times debunked on this very recording.
I don't know that Rayleigh scattering requires a distant sun.
Yeah, it's got to traverse the atmosphere to disperse the light. The light travels
if
through...
It's going through
Listen,
3,000
just
miles.
because you don't understand your own model. I'll school you. It travels through, the light travels through the atmosphere, some of it being absorbed, some of it being let through, scattered as it transverses the sky. It's that simple. Necessitated by a distant sun outside of the atmosphere, so that as the light comes from outside of the atmosphere, it can be quote unquote scattered. Now, if the sun's underneath it, as is asserted not by me, but just by other people who absolutely understand, like I do, that it cannot be a sun in a vacuum outside of the atmosphere, because that would defy a law of nature, as conceded by you in the pre-show.
So Rayleigh scattering just requires scattering. It doesn't require a distant sun. So that's just not true.
Oh, so if the sun was underneath the atmosphere and the light reached us without ever having travelled through the sky that's actually above it, or the sun is just a manifestation of everybody's imagination, it wouldn't be travelling through the atmosphere then. The fact that we don't know what the hell the sun is means you can't draw the conclusion it is both A, outside of the atmosphere, and B, its light is traversing the atmosphere in order to be scattered. We don't know either of those two things. Simple.
Right, but one of those things
can I interrupt for a second?
Yes, go ahead, Arwin. I'm done. I've made my explanation as clear as crystal, even though Brenda doesn't understand her own explanation.
Indeed.
Rayleigh scattering.
And I have a follow-up question for that, Brenda. For you, now, Brenda, shut up, please. If you are going to claim Rayleigh's criteria, then right? So
no,
I understand.
It's not Rayleigh criterion. It's not Rayleigh criterion. Stop.
Visual demonstration.
Arwin, please, for the love of God, can you stop talking? Arwin, it's not the Rayleigh criterion. We're talking about Rayleigh scattering. Something
totally. Sorry about that. Yeah, old habit. Rayleigh scattering. Okay. Any direct physical experiment, presupposedly, or some kind of visual setup that would demonstrate this Rayleigh scattering in a visual way and kind of present this blue sky. So what is the direct lead to this supposedly even being a thing? Do you have anything to represent visual-wise for that, Brenda?
I'm not sure I understand what the question you're asking.
He's asking you to prove Rayleigh scattering.
Are you serious?
Rayleigh scattering is just an observation of the behavior of light, right?
Yes,
yeah, so do you have any actual demonstration of that other than walk outside and look at the sky?
Oh, yeah. I'm sure that I don't know off the top of my head, but definitely in the 19th century, it's named after a physicist in the 19th century. You know, it's Rayleigh. That was his name or whatever.
Okay, I'll look it up myself since you seem blind and incapable of doing such things. Really scattering, right? Formulas, pictures of the sky. Okay.
You want to share what you're looking at, Arwin?
Optical fiber. Yeah, I'm just looking through Wikipedia. See if I follow. I'll present it if you want.
Sure, might as well, rather than just hearing your muttering as you read through it.
Right. Okay, here we go.
I've been playing a video. I don't know if you saw it while he's figuring that out.
I didn't see a video here. Discovered that bright light scattering of nanoscopic particles was faintly blue tinted. Okay.
Who's got the siren?
Yeah, that's me. There's something burning somewhere. I closed the door. Anyway. Right, so apparently John Tyndall discovered that bright light scattering of nanoscopic particulates was faintly blue tinted. He conjectured that similar scattering of sunlight gave the sky its blue hue. He could not explain the preference for blue light, nor could atmospheric dust explain the intensity of the sky's color. Interesting.
Good start.
Lovely, Justin. Sorry.
That's fascinating.
Right. So
it's
it
very
was something
honest.
that
It's basically saying, yeah, he speculated this conjecture without any
No, it's
actual
scientific
follow-up of that.
experiments that conducted.
Oh, excellent. What's the validation that's been given through systematic experimentation? Have you got links?
Yeah,
to that,
I don't
please?
know. I don't
What do
know.
you mean you don't know? You've just claimed it.
It's on screen. Oh wait, you probably can't.
You just
see
make that up then?
I don't. No,
Looks
I
like
didn't
you
make it up.
You just said it's backed by experiments.
Yeah.
Now you don't know. So you've just made that up.
No, I didn't.
How is it that when you say something is backed by experiments and then when asked to produce it, you say, I don't know that that's the case, you would say that's not making something up? That's exactly what it is. You've just made that up.
Right. Because we have a scientific culture.
Sorry,
Oh,
having
so
a
you did
scientific
make that up.
culture doesn't mean that you've got systematic experimentation to back your claim that this is in fact backed by experiments. You have in fact just made that up. And the reason you've made it up is because we've got a scientific culture. That's your justification for simply making it up. Yeah.
Yeah, we have a science.
Yeah, I know. We've got a scientific community. Yeah, we've got a scientific culture. Yeah, based on a scientific culture and community, you're just going to make up that you've got experimental validation for your bullshit claim that's based on supposition by this dude.
Yeah, that is the culture. Is that claim
Of making shit up. Yeah, we know. That's what
presuppositional
we
math
are.
extrapolations, and that's
We are the
everything
front
that I'm
line.
reading here so far.
That's what we are.
I just
We're
got
the
one
front
question
line
for
of that.
Brenda real quick regarding that.
We're the front
Brenda.
line of bullshitters that just make shit up, Brenda. That's where the buck stops. We're the tip of the spear for people who make shit up.
it's not made up.
Yeah, it is. You just made up that it was backed by experimentation, and it isn't. And when challenged to produce said experimentation, you said, I don't know that there is any. So, as I say, you just made it up. And then to justify you just making it up, you said we've got a science culture. What we actually have is a pseudo-science culture, where people just make stuff up. And then when they say science, like you've just done, you typify this, you think that it gives credence to your claim. It doesn't have any experimental data. Experimentation is a hypothesis test to prove the cause of an effect. Now, in this case, we've got an effect of a blue sky, supposed to be caused by this Rayleigh scattering. Now, it's not backed by experimental data. There hasn't been a cause and effect relationship established through systematic experimentation based on a hypothesis. You've declared it because you, like all of them, are a practitioner of pseudoscience. The science culture means make something up and say it's science. It isn't.
Nathan, I figured
Or,
something
or
out
like,
here.
that's-
or like
that's
Arwen
not-
likes
that's
to
not
call
the
her a
scientific
red
culture.
herring salesman.
Yep.
I like that.
That's not the scientific culture. Scientific culture is that the official bodies do not make pronouncements of facts without
Official bodies.
Right,
proper,
guys,
proper
can I- can I-
experimentation.
Can I
Yeah.
please interject something that I figured out? I think.
Go ahead, Darwin.
I think that what this Rayleigh scattering, how the claim is tied in with the sky, is based on the same principles as the interpretation of what matter is supposed to be based on the color of the light. How the sun matter is supposedly determined. Remember that? I think this works in the same manner. It's fascinating.
Oh, so
It's
what you're saying is
basically
they've
claiming that the
reified...
different colors is caused by the sunlight hitting the different type of gases. It's an interesting scientism piece.
Well, I don't understand your objection there, Arwen. Could you explain it a little bit further for me, please?
Yeah, there's no actual physical confirmation that would basically show a setup similar to the confine of the Earth and demonstrate it effectively. There's no effective demonstration.
Of what?
Yeah, like the experiment that you just said that there was supposed to be.
Yeah, there's no
There
confirmation
isn't.
about this claim, and that's at the beginning of the piece. It literally said it. Like it was again. Where was it?
So there's no scientific confirmation of Rayleigh scattering? Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
The
that's what
history
he's saying,
here.
in essence.
Discovered bright light nanoparticles, faintly blue. He conjectured. There is no actual confirmation of this, but later down, after all the mathematical explanations, here, causes of the blue color of the sky. This is pure pseudoscience extrapolation.
Shout out to Theo Megawerty for the super chat. Really appreciate your support. Thank you very much indeed.
Why is it pseudoscience? Why do you think
Because
it's really
there's no
scattering is
proof
pseudoscience?
to back up the claim.
How do you know that?
Because there's no
Because
experiments.
it's not here.
There's
Made it
no
obvious.
experiments?
Yeah,
you don't
you
know
said
that.
there
How
was.
do you know that?
Yeah, we'll come back to me now. Sorry.
Because if there were, you would have provided it already, Brenda.
Yeah,
That's
we asked
why.
you. You said
That's
there
why we
was.
know
That
you're
doesn't
always full
follow.
of shit, because you never provide any citations or support for your crap that you spew. Sorry.
Oh my God, there's even a Riley model.
It doesn't follow that because I don't know something, it doesn't exist.
Hold on, Paul's
So
got
then
something.
why are you arguing things you don't know?
No, I do know.
But you don't.
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't.
What is this?
Brenda, get a life.
You just said you don't.
Oh, right, no, this is not going to disseminate into ad homs. Right, so Brenda claimed there was experimental backing for Rayleigh scattering. Then when asked to produce it, she said, I don't know if there is any. So that was where she just made stuff up. And now we're pointing out that there isn't any. Having done a cursory search, there may very well be. I can see Paul watching a video now that's describing blue sky.
Whoa.
So we may be proven wrong, Arwin. We shall see.
Whoa, look at this. This is... I
don't see anything.
clicked something. The Riley sky model.
You're not presenting.
Oh, I'm not presenting.
You're in Discord, Brenda.
No, I am.
Just don't worry about Brenda. She doesn't produce the show, Arwin. I do.
Right. So look at this. It's actually a principle, like the extrapolation is actually based on the the celestial position of the sun. It's not actually based on any model concerning itself with distances. So this may actually be based on something that's real.
Sorry, Brenda. In this single sentence, scroll down a little bit, please, Arwin. This single sentence summarises how I smashed your argument. Sorry, can you just scroll down, Arwin?
How much?
Other way. Up, I mean.
Scroll up, you mean?
There we go, stop. The polarisation pattern of the sky is dependent on the celestial position of the sun. That's my entire argument, Brenda.
Boom.
Amazing.
You want me to read it again, Brenda? We're going to get a concession? You
Yeah,
seem
I
to have gone
see.
quiet.
Huh? I wasn't conceding anything.
Oh, right. Well, let me do it again. I did it without having to search out citations. I like to have arguments where I don't need to sort out any references, where I can just go on what I say. I'm lazy like that. Just knowing how your model works. You didn't, and you said, I don't know that it's dependent on the position of the sun. I do, Brenda, because I'm better educated in your model than you are. And here it is in black and white. For the dumb beau named as Brenda, I'll read it again. It's my entire argument. The polarisation pattern of the sky is dependent on the celestial position of the sun. Full stop.
Right, but
Yeah.
but it is followed up by something else.
Hold
You
on, I'm
need
getting
to
my
take a look at that.
concession. Was that a yeah?
No.
Yeah. That's my argument, Brenda. You'd need to know the distance to the sun. It'd need to be outside of the atmosphere. It's entirely dependent on its celestial position. That's my argument. That you said, no, I don't think it does need to be positional relation to the sun. Yeah, it is. It's there in black and white on your wiki.
Ooh,
Well, number one, I didn't say
I
that.
almost thought
Yeah.
there was a mistake there, but it's double down confirmed here. The degree of polarization first increases with increasing distance from the sun. Okay, I thought, oh shit, but then it says and then decreases away from the sun. So that's actually again about the angular position of the sun, not an actual physical claimed distance from the Earth. It's fascinating.
So just leave it highlighted, Darwin. My argument, Brenda, you'd need the distance to the sun. That's why I immediately referenced that question in housekeeping. Any evidence of the distance to the sun? The degree of polarisation first increases with increasing distance from the sun. So directly in
therefore we
relation
must-
to the... Shut her up. Of course, the conclusion's coming, so she's got to talk through me at this point. Yeah, we've got a housekeeping question, not rhetoric, not religion, a question, specifically in relation to the distance to the sun. Now, your Rayleigh scattering is absolutely dependent on that, my very argument. And you said you didn't know. Well, I did, Brenda. I know your model better than you do.
Can you hear me now?
I'm going to kick you out.
Well, you said you're going to.
Rayleigh sky model is based on the assumption that the sun is a pure light phenomena that has an angular relation to the Earth.
So it's pretty much
So
dependent
my
on...
only claim
It's dependent
was-
on the distance to the sun. This is where we came before Arwin stepped in and actually double-checked that I wasn't just making it up like you, Brenda. That I did actually know how your model worked. That it's hinged around the very question about the distance to the sun. And there it is in black and white, Brenda. So, Brenda, now
Right,
we've
right.
schooled you about what would be
Yes.
necessitated for Rayleigh scattering, and it is absolutely, as declared by me, dependent on you having a distant sun travelling through the atmosphere.
Right.
Will you now concede, having been schooled on your own bloody model by us, the flat earthers who understand your model better than you do, Brenda, that you're wrong?
So
and
I
you
just
can't
wanna
just
repeat it.
assert that you can tell us that it's Rayleigh scattering, because it would be absolutely dependent on your fundamentalist religious assertion of a sky vacuum with a distant sun in it, as I
So
declared.
yes, I want to steel man your what and repeat back to you what you just said. Okay.
No, you just need to say, yes, I now understand. I didn't understand that my model and declaration for Rayleigh scattering was absolutely dependent on the sun being far away, as you told me it was. I was ignorant. Now you've educated us. Because I was ignorant, I being Brenda in this third person example. Brenda was ignorant. She didn't know how our model worked. She didn't appreciate that the sun needed to be far away. Now we've made it absolutely clear, even though I knew before the argument even started and Brenda was totally ignorant of it. Now she wants to repeat it back. No, Brenda, it's the end, Brenda. I already schooled you. The only reason there was a slight pause on that schooling was because you didn't understand how Rayleigh scattering actually worked.
Right. So Rayleigh scattering requires a...
Don't tell us how Rayleigh scattering works, you stupid bimbo. We know how it works. You didn't. We've now had to school you. How dare you now tell us how it works? We had to educate you on your model. Don't tell us how it works. We know you didn't.
Do we observe Rayleigh scattering?
Don't ask us any questions. Say, I understand. I'm sorry. My ignorance has led us down this path where we had to take you, Brenda, by the hand and educate you in your own model and what would be necessitated for your argument that it is definitely Rayleigh scattering that causes the blue sky. It isn't. It would be dependent on a housekeeping question getting answered, the distance to the sun specifically. So we need you to concede, not ask us questions. We're schooling you on your own model that you don't understand, Brenda. Sad, given that you come here to argue it, that we know it better than you do.
So
It's okay,
Rayleigh
it's okay.
scattering requires a distant sun.
We know, Brenda.
Scattering, therefore the sun is distant.
Yes, we know, Brenda. You don't know the
doesn't claim
distance to
that.
the sun. Let me have my moment, Arwin. Please, for the love of God.
You did it. You just deduced that the sun must be distant.
No, that's part of your fucking fundy belief, you stupid cow.
Do we observe Rayleigh scattering?
Don't ask me a question. The sun being distant isn't something that I've declared. It's part of your fundy belief in a sphere world, you stupid cow.
Can Rayleigh scattering?
Don't ask me a question. I have not claimed it's far away. It's part of your argument for Rayleigh scattering. We've schooled you on your own model. You didn't appreciate that the sun needed to be far away. Now you do. So your argument falls apart because you don't know the distance to the sun, Brenda.
Can Rayleigh scattering
Don't ask me
exist
anything.
without a distance?
Say yes, Nathan. I understand my argument fell apart when asked for the distance to the sun.
If Rayleigh scattering cannot exist...
Don't declare anything. Say, I understand my argument fell apart because I don't know the distance to the sun.
So the Rayleigh scattering...
Stop telling us about Rayleigh scattering. We had to school you. We've just had to tell you how Rayleigh scattering works in your model.
If Rayleigh scattering must...
Don't ask us.
In Rayleigh scattering.
Don't ask us anything about Rayleigh scattering, Brenda. We're tired of schooling you. We've just done it.
Rayleigh scattering...
Now it's time for the concession. where you say, I understand that my assertion about how the sky is blue because of Rayleigh scattering requires a distance sum which I can't prove.
But I can prove Rayleigh scattering.
That's fascinating. Here, we're not debating Rayleigh scattering, we're debating the distance to the sun in this instance because it's part of your heliocentric sphere world.
I am debating the sun's distance, and you just helped me prove that it must be distant.
No, it doesn't.
No, she's affirming the consequent.
To the sun is not
what she's going to do is affirm the consequent.
Scattering.
If the sky is blue, then we have Rayleigh scattering. Rayleigh scattering, therefore blue sky. That's what she's about to do. She's about to affirm the consequent. It's pathetic.
Well, Rayleigh scattering, according to this, is basically an observation-based model of angular positions of the sun in relation to the Earth.
No,
and the
I wasn't
observer
affirming the consequent, by the way. I wasn't affirming the consequent, by the way.
You're about
the
to.
actual distance from the Earth to the sun is
if
not involved at all. It's completely irrelevant to the concept.
If the sun is close, we will not observe Rayleigh scattering. We do
Oh, really?
observe
How are you going to
Rayleigh
test
scattering.
that?
Therefore, the sun must be far away.
How are you going to test that?
You just proved it. You read
No,
it
I
on
didn't.
Wikipedia
You're
right
claiming
there.
something
That's
based
her
on
version of
something that
proof.
can't be done. You don't know. Rayleigh scattering is derived based on observations of the celestial bodies and how they behave and how they change the color. That's it.
Yeah, and you just
Actual-
proved that
an
the sun
assumption
must
of a
be.
distance from the Earth to the sun as an object is not involved. Only the
You just
angular
proved that the sun
relations
must
of
be
the
far away.
operation.
Jesus fucking Christ!
Yeah, right. Bye-bye. Yeah, you're just interrupting him, saying the same thing over and over again. If the sky is far away, forming your logical fallacy. That's all you're doing. So I think I've had enough of Brenda.
I think she really didn't get it.
Only I can
It's
swear
very
here.
sad. But I am amazed by this, that there's actually, a study out there and a concept that is not assuming a distance to an object called the sun. It's basically the observation of the sun disk. And all the data that is presented within it is reflecting that. It's awesome.
Fascinating.
Indeed. So, anyway, enough about that.
Right, let's see what the story of some of these new participants in Discord is. So we've got B... Is it Ryan? Hold on, I'm going to get close to my screen. B. Ryan, hello. Hello, you've joined a live show Discord server, B. Ryan. How are you? Oh, alrighty then.
Seem to be a lot of voyeurs on Discord.
People come in to waste time. It's like you joining a live show. If you want to come into a live show, be prepared to talk. Hello, Darren. It's Flat. How you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, mate. How's everybody today?
Very well indeed.
Well,
hello, Proficient
Can
Pyrus?
I just say, Brenda actually did make, I hate to say this, but she did actually make a very valid point. When she said you were looking into the space at night and you see two stars and there's nothing in between, if you now replace those two stars with her ears, I think you know where I'm going.
What?
Oh.
Well, she contradicted herself. So she said, you look into the empty void, you don't see anything, therefore there's nothing there. And then I asked her if your eyes adjust, do you see stuff there? And she said yes. And the only rebuttal to that was to say, I know every inch of the sky, there are portions that don't. Oh, really?
But the
I don't
fact
really
is,
think
she
thinks about her
succeeded
responses.
in wasting 45 minutes of chat.
I don't think she even thinks about her responses. I think it's just she's like on automatic robot NPC mode when she's in here.
NPC indeed.
Gotta stop claiming it's a waste of time. She is the verbalization of cognitive dissonance. She's on the very cusp of what basically people are wired with, and she's prepared to verbalise it. So as much as Brenda can get frustrating, and typically she's going to get ejected at some point because she'll either straw man, misrepresent me till my blood boils, lie about me, or in this instance start swearing. So there's always going to be some reason why she gets ejected, but I welcome back every single time because she's having the conversation, she's verbalising her cognitive dissonance. The fact that we can't break her cognitive dissonance isn't the purpose of her being here. We're not trying to convert Brenda to reality. Her verbalising her perception of reality is her purpose here, and I'm very grateful that she is. Thank you, Brenda.
Yeah, thank you for making us all laugh.
Well, no, it frustrates me because you're dealing with cognitive dissonance, and you can hear that when I'm talking to her. You can tell the audience knows I'm getting frustrated. That's why I start swearing, but I can't leave. I'm stuck here, So Brenda, I can just kick out if she starts swearing, and I will, because the conversation wouldn't change, and we'd just go round and round in circles with her trying to formulate a logical fallacy at the end. I didn't have a pen and paper handy, otherwise I'd have written down that logical fallacy and figured out what it was, but I didn't have it to hand, so there we go. But that's all she's going to do at the end of it when she's been smashed, battered, and has made no concession for her incorrect assertions based on her ignorance. Oh, I don't know the Rayleigh scattering would occur because of a distant sun. Well, I do. I do understand their model, and in this instance far better than Brenda. But there we go, so does Arwin, so does everyone else on the panel. We're all pretty well versed with the heliocentric model in most instances. Most of the people who challenge us, like Brenda, aren't actually that familiar with their own model.
No, it's just a case of just reifying what she believes is correct and not accepting anybody's response.
No, you didn't hear the pre-show. She was telling us how there's a dome.
No,
she was telling
I
you.
really wish I was on there.
Closet flat.
I'm not even kidding. Obviously, we're live at the moment, so the people watching this on Nathan Oakley 1980, daily, this show goes out to live. There's a live show at 2, Monday to Sunday. At 10, there's the Uncut and After show. Now, typically I don't do massive shout-outs for the Uncut and After show. Yes, I'll suggest people subscribe. There's a link in the info box. But if you're not already and you're watching on Nathan Oakley 1980, today is definitely the day. If you're not subscribed to Nathan Oakley channel, as I say, link in the info box, go and subscribe and watch today's 10 p.m. Uncut and After show for this show. So you'll get this bit again, but you'll also get the bit that preceded it and the bit that comes just after. And you'll hear Brenda arguing with me, telling me how I must accept there's a dome. I'm not even joking.
I'm going to definitely have to give that a like.
Who was here? Paul, you were here, weren't you?
Yeah, I was here.
I was here.
I'm not misrepresenting what happened, am I? That's precisely... She was demanding I accepted a dome, and I was saying, I'm not going to make that assertion. And she's saying, you must. It's the logical conclusion.
Yeah.
Nah, she's just trying to get you...
She's trying to tie us down to a model so she can finally make those claims about our model.
She wants to get you saying, oh, I believe in a dome, so that she could run around, oh, Nathan believes in a dome, fathers believe in a dome. That's what it is.
Yeah, I saw her trying to build a straw man right off the bat. I was like, that's why, Brenda, be careful about building that straw man so you can knock it down.
Her whole goal
I have a quick
was to get
question about
Nathan to
open
describe
container.
what the container is. And Nathan was saying, look, all I know is the antecedent for gas pressure. I don't know what it is. And she just kept trying and trying.
Everyone in Discord had a question. Go ahead.
I just had a quick question about the open containers. What happens if the gas is still constantly being pumped into that open container? Do you still have a gas pressure? And it would still disperse over time, but if it's constantly being pumped in or produced at ground level, do you still have a gas pressure?
Yes. So if you imagine a bouncy castle, they've got an air compressor attached to the bouncy castle. Shout out to Leonardo Gonzalez. Thank you very much. Keep up the great work, Nathan. Oh, thank you very much, Leonardo. Well, they've constantly got an air compressor blowing in the bouncy castle, haven't they? Well, that's because it's just essentially it's if you like, an open container. There's plenty of holes in it. The thing's sewn together. So there's plenty of holes for the pressure to escape. And if you don't keep continually running the air compressor, the thing will eventually deflate. Well, that's the same principle. It's the same. Somebody brought up an example with an aeroplane the other day. I think it was Spurs, and it's like a passenger showing a video of them next to their window, and it, noticeably visually decompressing. And he's like, well, this means that you don't need to be compressed at altitudes. Like, no, the thing's got a pump, right? It's constantly keeping it at a regulated pressure. It's constantly monitoring it. Now, will that knacker out the pump? Possibly. Does it mean that suddenly they're all going to suffocate? No. In the same way that people on the bouncy castle aren't going to suddenly collapse so long as that compressor's running.
Indeed. Could that be what's happening on Earth then?
Well, what you're saying is we've got a constant leak to space. Well, that would require, if we're on a heliocentric presupposition, that you've got a container in the first instance that's a bit leaky.
Understood.
But we don't have that in the heliocentric world. It's just a sphere with gas attached to the outside of it. So there's no walls, there's no ceiling, there's no seams sewn up that are letting the air escape like in the bouncy castle example. There is no container. It's like a tyre without the... It's like a wheel without the tyre around it. That's what you've effectively got. Gas holding onto the rim of the tyre.
Magic.
Wheel.
Exactly. Yeah. No, I agree with that.
I don't think I have a trouble with the concept of like the idea of the exchange of oxygen and carbon monoxide is maintaining the pressure. The only problem I have with that is like, have you seen those aquariums or those plants that are completely sealed off their self-sustained system where they put some of them, they have a fish in there. So I don't know if everything you guys are talking about is an external pushing something in, but you're describing something that's already in the system. So we need to think that through a little bit more, because I don't know.
We have that too, though.
Just the cycles are maintaining the pressure. That's a little bit iffy. So I think if you have to say there's something from the outside pushing in to maintain the system.
But no, there isn't. There's something on the inside in our system. We've got all the cycles. We detail them on reasonably frequently at the moment. But those cycles are pumping gas in.
But there's an exchange, like the oxygen, or the plants turn carbon monoxide into oxygen, and we turn the oxygen into carbon monoxide. There's an exchange occurring. That's not necessarily saying it's maintaining the pressure. That's my point. It's just there's an exchange occurring.
Yeah, it's a dynamic
even
system.
Even the cycle of water and all that stuff, there's still just an exchange within the system.
I agree, but ultimately, Paul, the entire system is pressurized. That cannot be argued with. Now, the fact that the balances of those gases are kept in check doesn't alter the fact that it is ultimately pressurized.
No, I'm actually addressing more of what somebody was saying about something being injected in. Now, I agree we're in a pressurized system, and it's a dynamic system. I agree with that. But somebody taking something from the outside to pressurize the system, like the air bouncy things. You're taking something from the outside, injecting it in to maintain the pressure, because the system is open. You see what I'm saying? That's why I say the system we live in is a closed system. It's not an open or closed container, not an open container. If it was open, you'd have to have something maintaining the pressure constantly, just like the air. I think that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, the compressor. Yeah, Earth doesn't need a compressor, an external compressor, to maintain the gas pressure.
If it is
wait, is that what the guy was asking?
Increase.
Could we have an open system because air is constantly being pumped into it? Is that what he was asking?
Yep.
I missed it.
Something like that, or in that manner.
Is that what you were getting at, Fundy Zealot?
What's that?
In a completely open system, even in our system, if it's completely open, eventually all gases would completely bleed off. There would be no gas whatsoever. Just like even in a punctured tire, eventually all that pressure is going to relieve itself out. It's going to find an equilibrium. So the system has to be closed. It can't be open.
And pressurized in the first place, so that all the cycles work properly.
Yeah, but the tire doesn't have any sort of gas producing cycle. You have to pump the air in, and then that's it. It doesn't constantly produce air on its own.
Oh, it's not a living thing.
Right?
Their argument dies when they say the vacuum of space is 10 to the minus 17 torr. That's when it dies, because in an open system, next to that kind of vacuum equation, its gases don't bond. It's going to go every which way. And as said on the show, instead of 760 torr at sea level, we'd have 10 to the minus 17 torr at sea level, because everything would go into everything, which is nothing. Doesn't make any sense.
Another quick shout out to Julio Pabon for smashing the super chat. Go past my glare on the screen. Trees produce oxygen. That's absolutely correct. And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of today's debating panel. If you are watching this on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. However, if you're watching live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you for tuning in, smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Once again, stay tuned if you're watching on Nathan Oakley premiering stream. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Feel better, Arwen?
Yeah.
That's good.
Still, it's an ongoing situation. I kind of corrected the issue yesterday in my hangout this morning.
Yeah, I was listening to it.
Right. Good.
Oh, did you apologise to Merle?
Sort of. I basically claimed that I accidentally made a misdiagnosis.
You
Because it
can't
was
diagnose anybody
not...
if you're not a doctor, for a start.
I don't give a shit. I can do what I want.
You're not a doctor. Don't be diagnosing people, for God's sake.
Yeah, I will be. And I diagnosed myself as well. Love it.
Wrong with self-diagnosis.
No,
Arwen's not a doctor, but you can think of him as one.
Exactly. You get it, Chocolate.
Nice.
No, but yeah, it's just... No, but it was technically incorrect because you'll have to listen. I'm not going to repeat myself there. But hey, that was really cool. It's like, who could imagine that Brenda, what I pretty much call a regurgitating straw man eating cow, I guess she perfectly falls into that category in retrospect, but that she would basically make us dig and then find another gem.
Yep.
And that's like, hey, by basically assuming the distance to the sun would be involved, and then it turned out to explicitly not be. That was very awesome.
Well, it's kind of like a symbiosis, right? Like some of their horrible arguments are what makes our arguments even better.
Right. She's like a goat, constantly bickering to everyone and trying to make people get their shovel and dig stuff up because
She's
it's
like
too lazy to do it itself. It just keeps on blathering.
Brenda's
But
like
sometimes he actually makes you dig in a good spot and you find something interesting, even though the goat, didn't really care. Yeah.
I'd love to know.
Brenda's a flat earther undercover.
No.
I'm just joking.
I'd love the answer. That's why I let it go as long as it did. I mean, I kind of, in the back of my heart, knew we were not going to find any new information to explain why the sky is blue, but by having the conversation and shattering a few old illusions, I mean, for me, those illusions were shattered 4 years ago in terms of... I already knew their explanation, and when it came to Flat Earth, it's something I immediately started looking into. I made a little video log about it going, isn't Flat Earth amazing? Prior to now, we had a good explanation, or at least an understandable explanation for why the sky was blue. Now, you could look into it and dive into a bit of Wikipedia and find a few cartoon explanations. James May of Top Gear made one, you know, explaining exactly that, the Rayleigh scattering. But then when you come to Flat Earth, you go, well, that immediately goes out the window. And you're left with what? Well, the question. And the question's quite exciting. Why is the sky blue? And the real answer is we don't know, but that's really exciting. We might find out, given enough time. We might be the people to discover the real answer to that question. But until we do, we're just in an exciting time where we don't know. You know, it's not the case that you just look it up in a textbook and that is the answer. In fact, you know, you can focus on the other bit, which is to say that you've got an answer, but it's a blatant lie and they've just made it up. But, you know, that can take you down a path of depression and misery and sorrow. Me, I'm much more excited about the fact that we don't know. It makes life a lot more exciting. That's just my spin on it. But there we go. We've got a lot of miserable flat earthers that focus on the fact that they've been lied to and want to go back to the people who've lied to them to get answers. It's just ridiculous. But there we go. That's how some of the people in this arena behave after they find out they've been lied to. Well, tell me the truth then. It's like, just they lied to you. Leave them alone. Stop watching.
No Stockholm syndrome over here.
Yeah, Stockholm syndrome. That's exactly it.
Did you see the video I was posting or I was playing?
I put a little bit of it up. What did that explain? Rayleigh scattering with a bit of scientific validity?
Actually, no. It has nothing to do with Rayleigh criterion. It's actually
scattering.
It's actually the exciting, like using electromagnetic fields to excite the noble gases that can account for the blue you see. Because I forget which one they shows, but it was showing how you can create the blue. What's that?
The neon.
Neon, I guess it was neon. But if you put the noble gases under electric field, they have different colors, and one of them is blue. So that would actually be more proof that the sun is close, because if it's giving off a magnetic field of some kind and exciting the noble gases. Now I'm just spitballing here. Just remember, I'm just spitballing. Then that could account for the blue sky we see, because obviously the blue goes away when the sun moves out of the way. So just a possibility.
And with that, I'm going to say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did join us on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Again, be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely join. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!